for the opportunity to share a few of the things that I discovered while visiting some of our parks. I'm not going to give you a very academic talk with a lot of statistical formulations and graphs and stuff. I only want to share with you what visitors to nature and in particular to our parks experience while being there. Nowadays, we hear so much about things that influence us in a less positive way. We hear about climate change, floods, disconnectedness, load shedding, and its effects on humans, and then the enormous global population increase adding to these challenges. All this bad or negative news contribute to feelings of despondency, fear, anger, and sometimes even despair. How then can we be happier? Or what can we do to increase our well-being? What do people do to live a happier life? While some people do strange or weird things to make them feel better, mostly for a short period of time, others spend time in nature. So with this in mind, we start to look at the real reasons why we visit nature. So in this study, we wanted to know if and how visitors to national parks benefit in ways that can actually contribute to their well-being. What are regarded as highlights or key experiences in the parks? What do these experiences mean to the visitor, and how do they relate to features in the parks? And then what can be done practically to enhance experiences that will contribute to general well-being? We often hear that we should spend less time with technology and more time in nature, which is true, but we do not have more time to spend in nature, and we cannot function without technology. However, we can become more aware of nature and the benefits time in nature may have for us if we know how to do that when we do get the opportunity to be in nature. So in this talk, I just want to show how we may benefit and be happier people by spending time anywhere in nature, but in particular in our national parks. Substantial research in many parts of the world proves that natural areas provide people with benefits ranging from health and physical well-being to psychological benefits and subjective well-being, or better known as happiness. It is also argued that due to these benefits, unspoiled natural areas are becoming increasingly important. However, it is also known that there is a growing disconnect between people and nature. In addition, the World Health Organization predicted in 2019 depression to be the single biggest cause of ill health in 2020 and beyond. And therefore, there is an increasing recognition of the importance of less tangible, the intangible benefits that people derive from visiting natural places like our national parks. Intangible benefits form part of the ecosystem services of national parks, which are the benefits people obtain from ecosystems. So what is an intangible benefit? Scientists read that. When trying to define intangible benefits of visiting nature, one may start by asking the question, how do you measure a personal experience in nature? An intangible benefit is much more a subjective benefit, and that one cannot actually touch, and therefore it is difficult to measure. Human well-being, for example, and the value of a nature experience are intangible benefits. But should intangible benefits of national parks, like any other business, be ignored, the chances are that visitors, the customers, will lose interest and turn to other natural resources or even countries where these benefits are still available. And therefore, a management approach should be developed which incorporates intangible benefits, as happy visitors are returning visitors. The question arises of what makes a visitor to a national park happy. But it is therefore important to explore and try to determine how visiting nature or participating in some nature-related activities, such as those offered in our national parks, can positively affect a person to be happy. But what is happiness? Martin Seligman, an American psychologist and known as the father of positive psychology, he described 3 core elements of happiness, namely positive emotions, like experiencing and savoring pleasures in nature, engagement, when losing oneself in engaging activities, and meaning, such as when participating in meaningful activities. Now, all of our South African national parks provide the potential for the visitor to be able to experience all 3 of these elements of happiness. But the road to a happy, flourishing, meaningful life is paved with virtues, deugde in Afrikaans. Positive psychologists Park Peterson and Seligman summarized more than 200 character strengths in human personalities into 6 virtues, namely wisdom, courage, transcendence, humanity, justice, and temperance. And I will highlight just some of these a little later. Virtues and happiness are closely associated and are bidirectionally related, with virtue leading to happiness and happiness leading to a virtue. Virtues are actually essential for happiness because virtues give us the power to have control over ourselves, to seek the things that we know will truly make us happy. And therefore, determining which and if virtues are elicited or enforced from visits to nature can be of value for park management to create opportunities and places where such benefits can be experienced. So the main questions to answer is, what are the potential intangible benefits or these side effects that visits to nature may hold for the visitor? Which virtues or individual character strengths are elicited or enforced from a visit to nature? And finally, does any of these experiences have meaning for the visitor? My research, the methods, where and how did I get the information, all the standard procedures for a research project were followed. I'm not going to bore you with that. You can ask me later if you want to know detail. I visited the parks in person, and I mainly used 3 data gathering tools. The first one is interviews, and this I did anywhere where the place and time were convenient or arranged with the participant. Observation, structured participant observation, and this was done during guided walks or guided game drives, or even at bird hides and scenic lookout points. And then eco-narratives, the stories told by people of their experiences in parks in the form of written documents of various kinds. So what did the people say? My findings. I'm going to present the findings under the following topics: reasons provided for visiting the specific park, the affective and spiritual experiences, those feelings and emotions, and then virtues or character strengths gained or enforced. When I ask people why they visit a specific park, they firstly mention those feel-good reasons, those obvious things like I come for game viewing or bird watching. They come to experience the quietness and peacefulness and to relax, or just to walk along the beach. These initial reasons are usually those things that we experience physically and that we will tell others about, those nice stories we put into words. How we become aware of these feel-good features are described through what we see, hear, smell, and touch, in other words, our senses. For example, in Agrabis, the smell and feel of the water spraying down the gorge. In Golden Gate, we see the golden colors of the brandwacht during sunsets. So the first engagement in an experience, remember that is a component of happiness, involves a form of physical awareness that sort of stresses the body and the mind in some or other way. For example, on a walking trail or a steep climb, or the things we hear and see. Therefore, we are consciously aware of these activities and we can share them with others. This means that we start to become mindful of our physical environment. The more we engage with the physical environment, the more mindful we become, because we discover new things and we are curious and want to find out more every time. This mindfulness may lead to a more intense experience of the environment, and this is reflected in the affective responses, in other words, the emotional and spiritual feelings of participants. And trying to put these experiences in the natural environment in words can often evoke deep emotions. Sometimes the landscape, the trees and animals may evoke not only physical or sensory awareness, but also personal, deep and personal feelings. Many participants often told stories about encounters with animals, and then they use metaphors to relate to an experience or to explain their emotions felt or to give a personal meaning to that experience. They sometimes call these animals or features their role models in life. A few examples, representative quotes from participants. A participant's narrative after an encounter with the rose eagles in Mapungubwe illustrates the meaning of such an event to a person. And it's long, but I am going to read it to you. All of a sudden, this black eagle just appeared out of nowhere. This bird was apparently taking a rest and was now looking at me. I could see the nictitating membrane closed, and then it just spread its wings and disappeared. But it was that second, almost like an eternity, that I looked into the bird's eyes and the bird looked at me. And there was an awareness, a consciousness of we were sharing. This was very significant. A participant's narrative after watching these elephants for a long time during a game drive in Marokele reads, "Watching the elephants made me realize that their social part definitely fits in with me. They are strong animals, physically and emotionally. When a fellow elephant dies, I believe that they do mourn their dead and they support one another. It is this exact characteristic which I experienced this year after losing my best friend. I had to be strong, physically and emotionally, to support his family. Elephants never forget and I never forget, and they are compassionate animals, and that is why I can relate to them." Now, national parks and nature in general are filled with metaphors that we can apply in our daily lives to help improve our life skills, recognize our virtues, or to help manage stressful situations, improving our general well-being. Participants also describe how they experience the values of nature at a specific time or place in a park. Just a few examples. The values of solitude and oneness featured strongly in the affective narratives of participants. For example, sitting quietly with a nice view, we were the only people there. You become part of it all and feel everything as part of yourself. Immersed in a nature experience with fewer external distractions than in our everyday life, we have the opportunity to observe the natural environment and our place in it. Quotes include, "Nature creates a place where I can find calmness and rest within myself. Here I can find myself. Nature motivates me in life. Time spent here gives me the passion in life to achieve and do well." So the very personal and sometimes intense meaning of the individual experience is reflected in these quotes and stories of participants. But what does this mean and why is it important? Now, because of the important role that virtues play in our general happiness, as explained, I paid much attention to explore the respective virtues and associated character strengths that emerge from these and similar responses from participants. Now, this slide gives a brief idea of the 6 virtues and the associated character strength with each. But due to the vast amount of information and the time limit, I will only highlight 2 or 3 responses. In Mapungubwe, the Mapungubwe Hill provides many opportunities where virtues are elicited. Courage, in this instance, refers to the risking it to get close to what we are afraid of. Here, a young man and an older woman posed individually for a photograph on a rock close to a high cliff. And the young man was very excited and said, "I've done it," and that while being afraid of heights. And the woman waved excitedly while sitting on the rock and also said that she was proud of herself because she did not think that she would be able to face the height. Now, this is evident that both overcame their fears and they felt proud of it. They achieved some personal challenge, and the character strength of bravery was clearly elicited here. In all parks, numerous quotes and observations were evident of appreciation of beauty and excellence of what nature offers, one of the character strengths of transcendence. Gratitude links with appreciation of beauty quotes and attests to participants being aware and thankful for what they see and experience in the parks, and that they do not take these experiences for granted. For example, there are many quotes, huge privilege to be here, grateful to be able to see this. The last one, it was immense and I am part of it, a privilege. Spirituality. Although many study participants expressed a connection between nature and God, spirituality as a value of nature experiences involves ecological values and attitudes and not necessarily only a religion. Spirituality in this sense is about how our life affects other human beings and other beings in nature. Although individuals may experience a profound closeness to the Creator while they are in nature, many feel close to nature without a religious connection. So the spiritual connection with nature can seldom be verbalized, like our other stories, physically experienced, and is often reflected in actions such as those expressed in this quote. When one looks at small things like the curve of a fern leaf, a spider's web, no one can copy that. Those are the things that one can observe and just look at and admire and feel the greatness of the Creator. The spiritual connection with nature can spirituality is one of the most important character strengths found in quotes from nature experiences, as it is in nature that a strong belief about meaning of life might be reinforced. Our national parks offer places of tranquility and peace to take time to sit and do nothing, focus on oneself, and realizing inner peace and calm and our place in creation. Now, from these quotes and many similar ones, it can surely be said that virtues and the associated character strengths can be regarded as intangible benefits and are either elicited or enforced from a visit to our parks. Because of the fact that an individual's happiness level is determined by activities and practices we choose to engage in, we can probably assume that visits to parks and their special places and participating in activities offered will play a role in increased happiness of visitors. To summarize, initially participants provided reasons for visiting the parks that correspond with their physical or cognitive experience in nature, those obvious reasons like game viewing in Kruger. Experiencing peace and quietness and experiences of solitude in unspoiled nature stood out. The longer visitors stayed or the more they visited the place, the more aware or mindful they become of the natural environment and its components. Both sensory and physical engagement lead us to a dimension of emotional awareness. Gradually, a more spiritual awareness develops. Experiences become intrinsically valuable to the individual through their involvement in nature, contributing to enhanced character strengths and virtues. Now, this deeper meaning of experiences in pristine places enables us to realize our own qualities and character strengths. Because of the fact that virtues and happiness are closely associated and that virtues lead to happiness and happiness leads to virtue, it is safe to say that the experiences visitors have in our parks contribute to living a happier life and general increased well-being. So what can we do to help create positive experiences or happiness? Create quiet places to facilitate quiet spaces for the visitor to nature, physically and intrinsically. In my study, no specific indicators or signs could be found in any park where the visitor is sort of reminded to become aware. We do, however, tell them what not to do. Findings in this study clearly indicate that there's a need for such reminders. We need to explore and create places and opportunities where visitors can be made aware or reminded or showed to stop, to look, to listen, to discover your own quiet space, to to become aware and mindful of the specific environment or place and gradually begin to realize the additional, these unmeasurable, intangible benefits. By implementing this, management will be able to contribute not only to a new or additional image for the park, but also enhance a general feeling of well-being in visitors' lives. Therefore, it is recommended that we implement signs and indicators or markers to encourage visitors to explore these intangible benefits mentioned. For example, on a hiking trail, somewhere just place an unobtrusive sign, use your senses, stop that person there and let him just get involved. Something like this. Don't just look at the mountains, make them aware of what they actually see. And no new structures need to be erected. They are already there. Just add something worthwhile. Stop, close your eyes, feel the wind. We were so used to these signs and it's not very positive. As a matter of fact, it's quite scary. Why not just ask something positive next to it? Look, there's so much to see. Listen, feel the breeze, relax, breathe. But I want to conclude now, and this is my final slide, with a transcription from one of my participants who did a week-long holiday here in Tsitsikamma with his family. And I'm going to read verbally what he said, freely translated. Our holiday in the garden route was an exceptional experience and very special to me and my family. Today, I had quite an in-depth conversation with my son Jack, 10 years old, about our holiday, and after my conversation with you, I think he got me to understand what you are doing and about this psychological impact of nature experiences on people. Our conversation started after watching a movie together in which a young boy fought for his life after an accident. Jack asked, "What do they mean? He is fighting for his life, Dad." I tried to explain that we all have a desire to live, and that desire to live has many times made the difference between life and death. Okay. Jack, but why do people want to keep on living when everybody says how wonderful heaven is? Sure. How do I answer that to a 10-year-old boy? I explained that we all have plans for the future and dreams towards what we work and strive for and things we want to experience. For example, to go again on such a nice holiday we had the previous week. His answer to this, 10-year-old boy, "Daddy, I think it is only during holidays that we truly live. The rest of the time you only need to go to school, to do homework and all those things that you have to do, not the things that you want to do." At that moment, I realized that he has just explained to me what your research is all about. We experience our holidays in a very positive and spiritual way because it is our natural state, especially when we are in nature. During holidays and time in nature, we are driven by different needs than those in everyday life. We travel to places to experience something new because humans are created with the curiosity to discover and to explore. We receive the curse to work and to be chased by calendars and cell phones. And that is why people need to go on holiday. We feel closer to nature and to our Creator, because for a short while we can return to our original natural being, where we don't have to work towards the next deadline, but where we can live as we are supposed to live. And therefore, time spent in nature has the potential to transform the way individuals see themselves as part of the natural environment. These transformations may contain profound experiences. A person visiting nature has time to reflect on life, to discover meaning, virtues, and the self. And therefore, visiting a park has the potential to fundamentally transform individuals from feeling good to functioning well. In other words, improved well-being. Thank you.